Saw 3 is probably one of the most gruesome torture porn entries in the franchise to date. If you're scared of bodily fluids and painfully slow deaths, this movie ain't for you. Later in this review, we'll go over the various traps throughout the flick, and there are some interesting ones. But if you're curious or want to know my opinion on this one, let's cut right in. We begin where we left off the last movie, with our main character, Detective Matthews, still chained to a pipe in the famous basement bathroom. Frantically looking around, we see others who haven't made it out of this room from the last two. Eventually, Matthews decides against using a saw to cut through his foot. Instead, he uses the toilet tank lid. Matthew uses this lid to bluntly bash his foot to slip it out of the shackle. The smart thing here is that he kept his foot, unlike Dr. Gordon. And like Dr. Gordon, all we know is that these guys are allegedly alive. Then we get the title, and the story begins with a random guy in what looks like a classroom who's chained up to multiple parts of his body. Two are attached to his traps, triceps, Achilles, and palms. And the worst one is the one that's inside his lower jaw. After Billy explains this guy is bad and deserves this punishment, the game begins. And after a lot of screaming and yelling, he wasn't able to free himself and the bomb goes off. This is known as the classroom trap because it teaches you a lesson. If you can't think of a clever, thoughtful name, just name it after the location it takes place at. We then cut to SWAT, led by Lieutenant Riggs, cutting through the door to find the crime scene. Carrie, who was Matthew's partner, great partner on both ends, way to look out for each other and avoid danger, is worried this victim might be him because he's been missing. But then we are introduced to a new detective, Detective Hoffman. He's important, just not now. Hoffman tells them this isn't Matthew's body, and they begin to solve that this trap wasn't like the ones before. The victim in the last trap, even if he was able to remove all chains, the door was welded shut, so he can never get out. Jigsaw does his traps in a way that the victim can hopefully find a way out alive and be reformed through this process. I know, it's kinda cool. Anyways, throughout the rest of the series, you'll know a copycat killer if their intention is only to murder. Carrie is now home alone reviewing the tapes from the classroom trap when her TV begins showing her bedroom on a live feed. This is when she's abducted. She awakens, of course, in a trap, and a horrible one, suspended in the air from a harness embedded in her ribs, with a glass of acid and the key to the harness corroding within. Carrie gets the key out, but then when she unlocks the harness, it opens up her entire ribcage. This is known as the Angel Trap. Before her death, she sees someone approaching her, watching. Another example of a trap being designed to be unescapable. At this point, I'm wondering why some of these events weren't in the last one to help finish the story, but oh well, we waited a year just to get this information. Now, the story of Saw 3 actually begins. There's a surgeon named Lynn who is unhappy with her life so much that it has affected her judgment at work. While trying to take some downtime in the hospital, she's abducted. How did they do this? I don't know. They never bother to explain how you can just kidnap a surgeon in the middle of a hospital without a problem quickly arising. Lynn finds herself in Jigsaw's new HQ since the last two have been discovered by the police. This one's filled with mannequins and various things to make it look like a workshop of horror. Here she meets John and his apprentice Amanda. Lynn's whole point is to help John with his brain cancer, which has now left him really bedridden. They place a collar with shotgun shells on her connected to John's heart rate monitor, so if he dies, the shotgun collar goes off. This is known as the shotgun collar. See, when you put a little effort into it, you can come up with better names than classroom. She has to wait until someone makes it through their own game. The real game is a brutal one, and I have to say Jigsaw went way too hard on this guy. Jeff is his name, and he's going through something. His son was killed after being run over by a car. His wife is barely home, and his daughter is scared shitless of him because his coping involves swinging around a revolver and heavy drinking. Because of how miserable Jeff is, I guess Jigsaw saw an opportunity to strike. To motivate Jeff forward, Jigsaw reveals that his daughter is being held captive within this building. Jeff is the first character of the franchise to endure a gauntlet style of games, in which he has to not only survive each round, but he is given an option to save the person in the trap. It's about finding forgiveness through suffering and being face to face with those responsible. Let's talk about the traps and Jeff's personalized hell. The freezer room. Here is a horrible idea coming from any living being. What if we strip down someone and slowly spray them down with water while they hang in a freezer until they slowly freeze to death? Her name is Danica, and she's connected to Jeff's son's tragedy. What makes this trap interesting is that Danica is stripped completely nude. And this is a first for Saw and a last. Jeff feels remorse for her a little too late and fails to reach the key behind frozen pipes. Danica is frozen solid and Jeff's cheek gets stuck on one of the frozen poles. He then pulls his head away, tearing an ugly amount of flesh from his face. Off to a great start. The pig vat. If you like meat, then you'll hate this. And if you don't like meat, this is utterly repulsive. Here lies the next victim. Judge Howden, the judge in Jeff's son's case. Just in case you didn't catch on to that, Howden is tied down vertically at the bottom of a large vat with a bar around his neck like a shackle so he can't lift his head too high. Once Jeff begins the game, an automated chain of rotting pig corpses begin to shuffle in, disposing of them over rotating gigantic metal saws, grinding them into a liquidated mush. This mush then begins to fill the bottom of the vat the judge is in and threatens to drown him. Jeff learns to forgive, but not before having to face his own test, to burn his dead son's favorite stuffed animals. Here's the thing, why is Jigsaw just so mean? If the point was for Jeff to survive this and change, why are you forcing him to destroy his son's memorabilia? Jeff makes the hard choice and saves the judge. The two move on together. The Rack. This is Timothy Young, the man who killed Jeff's son. Tim will have the worst death in Saw history. It's called the Rack because he's held up in a rack, but with a twist of devilry. Each arm, leg, and his head are in vices that are mechanically clocking down to the moment when they turn. As Jeff struggles to find forgiveness in Tim, the judge is looking for the key when he springs a trap and dies. Jeff decides to help Tim and gets the keys, but it's too late. Tim gets to pretend he's an owl, and Jeff cries forgiveness. The fourth and final test is that Jeff can forgive John for putting him through this. Also to reveal that Lynn is his wife, and the guy at the beginning of the film, that's just Lynn's affair. This confused me a lot as a kid, and honestly, until now. Lynn is shot by Amanda, who has gone crazy and thinks John is in love with her. He's not. Jeff catches his dying wife and retaliates by shooting Amanda in the neck. And when all is said and done, Jeff says he forgives John, and then cuts his throat with a circular saw. Hey, we brought the whole Saw thing back! Jeff's not wrong completely, but it doesn't help his current situation, and by the end, he's alone in this place with everyone dead, and he hasn't found his daughter. Where does Saw 3 fall in my love for this franchise? Pretty damn high. This was my first Saw film. I can't answer that well since my mom bought me the DVD when I was 12 years old. A good mother finds special ways to help cultivate the creativity in their child. I love this one, and it made me a fan for life. This one gets a 4 out of 5, and that is with almost 20 years of watching this movie. Saw 3 is truly unique and makes the weaker entries obvious to notice. This is surprising for me as well because my favorite character is Hoffman, and in this one he does nothing. But give it time. There are some interesting things I noticed, like when Hoffman is at the first crime scene, the classroom trap, he pockets one of the chains like a personal trophy. Eric Matthews is revealed to have made his way out of the bathroom to get into a physical altercation with Amanda, but she is able to walk away from it. Jeff is still alive and his daughter is still trapped within the building, so we did not conclude anything. And from our original police guys we were introduced in the second film, only Lieutenant Riggs is still alive. Okie dokie. There are some weird things to mention. John is occasionally shown to have small figurines with him, which represents zodiacs. This theme will be somewhat important in the fourth one. We are also introduced to Jill, a woman whom John fell in love with. Again, you'll have to wait for those answers. I hope you enjoyed this review. I love Saw, like I've stated before, but the question for you is which trap is your favorite? For me, it's clearly the Rack. It's personal and horrific and happens before your eyes, and you can't change it. It's very powerful and deeply upsetting. Do you like this movie? Where's it rank in your favorites? Okay, well, thanks for watching. Bye.